man, I am uncomfortable.
Why not oh woman? Why not oh woman?
Oh, yeah, sexism. Did that thoroughly answer your question, Mrs.?
I guess.
Ah, senora.
Si, senora.
What's that song from Beetlejuice? What's it called? Do you know the title of it?
The one that's like, work, 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 senora.
Yeah.
No? Why don't we just look it up?
I was asking you because you were like, oh, you mean this one? Yeah, like, yeah.
It's called Jump in the Line by Harry Belafonte.
You don't remember that.
No, I looked it up. I don't know if I'm saying his name right, but it's a great song.
It's Belafonte.
Who's he? What's it?
Yeah, it's like Beetlejuice. Belafonte.
I haven't seen it in a long time. I'm not really a big Beetlejuice person.
Why?
I don't know. I just...
Is there something wrong with you?
Do you really like it?
I think it's all right. What? What's wrong?
Yeah, that's like... I'm like,
I'm allowed to, though. I don't like scary movies all that much. You need to love all scary movies.
I don't really count Beetlejuice as a scary movie. It's more like a thriller.
It is scary.
How?
Did you see the people die and then they didn't know? And then there was like ghosts and shit. And then they had to fight off like salad bowls.
It's more of like a dramedy, though.
You're more of a dramedy.
What does that even mean?
Long sullen silences. That's what. Ghostwire Tokyo. I'm just looking at names of games right now. I don't know why.
There's so many games coming out this year. I'm kind of mad. So
yes, so angering. Choices. How dare there be choices?
So welcome back to Mindless Prattle. I'm Ripley. That thing over there is Jordon.
No, that's a cat.
You are Jordon.
Oh, well, thank you for including me.
But
what episode is it, Ripley, my dear?
91.
So you see how there's always a question mark at the end? Like we're not really, well, not we. She's not really sure. I know what it is.
What is it?
It's 91.
Yay, I got it right this time.
You should open up the drive. That way when I share pictures, I don't have to turn my computer around because it's annoying.
Oh, I mean, yeah, I can do that.
Good. Well, she figures out how the internet works. We'll be over here.
Okay, so...
I'm going to start us off strong this week.
Oh.
Why? Did you have something?
No, I don't. Go ahead.
Well, okay. That's sure. I'll start us off. I was out of town last weekend for work. And as such, I was in a hotel room for Friday night and Saturday night because it was a couple days, right? Friday night, all is well, nothing wrong. Saturday night, get some Taco Bell. Now, I'm sure you can see where this is going. So I'm sitting there eating Taco Bell when my stomach's like, no, you don't. And then I go to the bathroom and I was like, all right, it's fine. I don't need this Taco Bell. So part of being in this lovely hotel is that I hear everything that's going on outside of my room because the door just, I don't know if it just wasn't sealed properly or if it was because the toilet was right next to the door.
What?
But yeah, so when you walked in the door, it was like a 45-degree angle and it led like right to the toilet.
That's not a great design.
Anyway, so I had every suspicion that everyone heard me outside, which is fine because, human. And as soon as I was done, I was like, time to go relax. More Taco Bell. And no, I walked over.
You got me.
And as I was leaving, I started hearing voices from the hallway.
Uh-huh.
And I went over to the door and I looked through the people. And it was like, you know how you're in your hotel and you can hear like a couple people talking and then they go in their room and you're like, okay, that was okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was sitting by the door because I heard, walking by the door, and then I heard people talking and I thought, oh, they're going to their room. So I looked through the peephole and there, instead of like one or two people going into a room, there was probably 10, 12, 15, I don't know, just like grandparents. They were just old people, like 15 old people ish. I'd say 10 to 15. I didn't really count. And they were all going into the room right next to mine. And the doors, remember, they're at the 45-degree angle to the hallway. So I can see them all going into the door next to mine. I was like, that's a lot of people for what I know has only 2 beds. And boy, was I right, because the rest of the night was just old people orgy sounds and was not great to try and fall asleep.
You know, I thought this was heading towards an old people orgy,
I
but
don't
boy,
believe
was
you
I
did.
right.
I don't believe you did.
No, like when you said that many people, I was like, there's only one thing that could be if they're not having a party.
Mm-hmm. And So that was my Saturday night, and then I still had the work like closeout on Sunday. So I just had to go to work and pretend that nothing happened. And I was like, that's gonna.
It's like you feel like you were there, but you weren't.
It was so loud and disturbing.
Are we gonna go to old people orgies when we're old?
Oh yeah, scar some kids. Why not? And
I mean, you're not a kid. Do not scar children.
Compared to them, I was like infant. All right. Like, I didn't see any walkers, but I'm pretty sure somebody needs one after that night. It was pretty bad.
I mean, good for them, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, more power to you, but somewhere else, please. Use that power somewhere else.
Like, and what kind of hotel was it? You said it was just like a chain hotel, right?
Yeah, it was a La Quinta. I was just at a La Quinta.
And with that many people, they couldn't afford like a nicer hotel with like a big suite or something.
I don't think the state of the room was their main concern.
I mean, if I was having an orgy, I'd want it to be in a nicer hotel.
I don't even know that they like stayed the night because none of them had luggage or anything while they were walking in.
They wouldn't fit.
Except for one person. One person had luggage, and I was like, I don't know what that's for.
That's for all
that's the
condoms
toys.
and lube.
Yeah, that's the toy guy. He brings them, I guess. Everyone else just walking straight in there. And I was like, wouldn't you know something's up if like 15 people tried to check in, but only one of them's got luggage?
They're like, you're either having porn.
Having porn.
No, wait.
I'll take one porn, please.
They're either making porn or having a lot of sex or both.
But
what?
You're a little far.
Oh, you're far.
Oh my God. Never mind. It's but yeah, so that was happening. And the start of this was not like, oh, it's early bird special timing. No. The start was like 8:30 p.m. The end was definitely like 2 a.m.
Damn.
And I was like, God, are you swapping out? Are you guys taking turns? I don't know what's happening.
Okay, how many of the group would you say was like male, female?
It was probably like half and half. It's judging from them going in.
All right.
But I mean, can't judge anymore. Who knows what they are? And
good for them.
Good for them, you said. Maybe it's just a swingers party. Maybe there's just like 6 couples that were going to one room. I don't know. I don't know what was going on, but I sure
you didn't knock on the door and figure it out?
No. I heard the noises quite well from behind the door. Did not need to open it. Plus, you know how that would be? How I don't think they'd be happy. Like, do you think they would have stopped? Or do you think like one person would have stopped and opened the door?
They'd be like, you want to join in, Sonny?
No, nope. Let's not even talk anymore. I'm done with this story.
Okay, so Black Ops 6 came out.
A while ago, yes.
Okay, but like, we just played it a little bit.
No, you just started playing it.
What do you think about it so far?
Same thing I said when I played the demo of it. It's more fast paced. Don't look over there. I'm over here.
I just keep saying.
No, don't look over there. I'm over here. It's more fast paced. The time to kill is very short compared to a lot of other Call of Duties, and so it feels natural in hardcore, but in normal gameplay, you die very quickly, and the pacing of it's weird. I'm not a fan of how floaty it feels compared to how solid the Modern Warfare's 1 and 2, the remasters, do. So overall, I think it's good. I haven't played the campaign. I'll probably play it tomorrow, but I think it's just all right overall.
Well, I haven't played the campaign, but I did play some zombies, which, first of all, how many times am I going to do this and not learn my lesson? So I'm playing for a little bit.
Let me guess, you were unmuted.
I was not muted, yeah. So I'm talking about how much I suck. At one point, I'm like, I'm using all my points to get power-ups instead of unlocking things. Like, sucks to be my teammates, and just making these kinds of jokes. And then nobody told me to shut the fuck up, but I just see my name in the corner of the screen. And I'm like, does that say my mic is on? So I immediately turned it off.
Yep.
And I was like, how embarrassing. Zombie is harder than I remember it being. It's like the round-based ones, but
as opposed to the square-based ones.
Oh my! It just like we got to around thing 14, and I was struggling, and then we had to go do something anyway, so I had to leave. But I was like, God, my teammates are all so much better than me. I was the only one getting downed. I was like, wow, why? But I did think it was a lot of fun. Didn't know anything about any of the weapons, but I'm really enjoying it so far. Some people said they don't like it because it's too fast paced for them, but I think that's just like where video games are at right now. Like everything's fast. I
think it's the attention span of it. Like in Advanced Warfare and one of the other Call of Duties, it was very fast paced and you could jump around and you're like, this makes sense. It's fast paced. But this Black Ops is set in like the 90s. And it's very fast paced for what I feel like should be a little bit older.
It's set in the 90s? Like
It's set during the Cold War, I think. I'd have to double check. But I know a lot of the maps, when you load in, it says 1990 to 1991, somewhere in there.
Was the Cold War still happening then?
I don't know. I don't know them Cold War dates.
I mean, 1989. You ever think about how that's just so much more recent than you conceive of most of the time?
As opposed to what? Dinosaurs?
Well, like my sister was born in 92.
Okay.
Like my sister is only slightly older than the Cold War.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
I mean, my coworker was standing in front of the Berlin Wall when it fell.
That's crazy. I've heard that from some like teachers and stuff. Like one of my English or my high school history teachers, he had a piece of the Berlin Wall.
Mm-hmm. But then again, my coworker was born in Germany, so I mean,
that makes sense.
He was there.
I've never been to Germany or Russia.
Let's do it. Let's go.
I'd go to Germany. I don't know about Russia right now, considering everything. But
you remember Y2K?
I mean, vaguely. I was 3 years old.
Okay. Do you remember what it was about?
I remember about it. Yeah, they were scared the computers were going to signal the end times.
Sure. So I recently...
It was like a coding issue, right?
Yeah, it was a coding issue. So I'm going through some classes. I'm taking some software classes. And one of them was talking about why that was happening. Mm-hmm. And it was basically because software that was made in the 70s was still being used on computers in the 90s and like leading up to 2000. Mm-hmm. And the problem was in the early days of computers, there wasn't enough memory, like RAM. Mm-hmm. So they could only store a certain amount of information. So the what happens is in binary, when you get up to a certain number and you roll over to the next one, well, it'll still know that like the very end digit's a 1, but the rest of the digits will go back to a 0. Mm-hmm. So it'll restart basically, and it'll keep counting up. So basically what it was is a lot of the software when it became 2000 couldn't like store the number 2000. So it would roll over and it would basically just change your clock to 1901. That's all that was going to happen, by the way. Like everything was going to change. The date was going to change to 1901. Right. And the reason it was a problem was because a lot of like critical infrastructure was running off of that date system. So like if it suddenly said it was the wrong year, it would cause problems, but not enough to like end the world. Anyway.
Okay.
So that's what happened. And basically all we did to fix it was put a software update out that said, hey, we have more memory now. Now you can keep counting. And I like this because we basically said, we'll delay this problem. So what happened when the now system that we use for all computers, banking, all of that, it will count accurately up until, I believe it's January of 2038. And then it will happen again.
That is so much more soon than I thought it would be.
Yes, in 14 years, it will happen again. because we took the memory and we doubled it, and it now goes to 2038. So it gave us 38 years, right? But once we double it again, when we get to 2038, which is the leading solution to the problem of just add more memory to it, right? How far down the line do you think we're going to kick that can? It went from 2000 to 2038. How far down the line is the next problem?
I don't know. Why can't we just invent a better system?
Well, because that's more difficult than just adding memory.
I don't know, like 30 years?
You think it'll go 30 years? So the first time we doubled it, right, and it added 38 years, we're going to double it again, and it's going to add close to like 2-point-something million years to the problem.
What?
Right.
How does that work?
Because binary is exponential.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I learned how to count in binary code, but I don't remember any of it.
Yes. Okay. So the next time it happens is January of 2038. And when we inevitably just do the same thing again, it will kick the problem down the road for like 2 million years. So it won't be our problem anymore.
Yeah. I mean, I was like, I doubt we're going to last that long, but how did you even think about that?
How did I think about that?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Like, where do you get this stuff from?
It was in one of my lectures from my class. Because we're taking like programming and binary and how to use like finite memory, and that was the lead into, hey, this is the problem in 2000 was the finite memory, and it's going to happen again in 2038, and then on so on and so forth.
Nice. Okay. Mm-hmm. So I've had this question on my little list for a while that I've wanted to ask.
You got to stop backing away.
So if you could take any ability from a video game and bring it into the real world, what would it be? Like literally anything.
Any ability? Like what? Like what abilities?
Like any of them.
Any of the abilities? Depends. Like what would I use it for? Just for fun times? Like there's some cool abilities that you could have. I think telekinesis would be one of the most useful abilities to pull from a video game. Or like using the force, something like that.
Oh, that'd be pretty cool.
You looked like you didn't know what telekinesis was. That's why.
I do know what telekinesis is. Gosh. I would like the ability to fast forward and rewind my life like The Sims.
Fast forward and rewind your life?
Yeah, like in The Sims, you can go forward or you can go backwards. Mm-hmm. Why can't we do that in real life? That'd be cool.
Time is very, very constraining in real life. Going backwards in time like that, where you would just like rewind it and then play it again and maybe change a few things, I think that would work better. But if you just like traveled instantly back in time, it wouldn't work.
Why?
Because there's no physical law that would allow you to do it. Because say you go backwards in time and mess up something so your parents never meet, well, then they'll never have you and you'll never go back in time. But so then it creates that paradox. Isn't there
like a theory for that where they're like every decision you make splits off like another universe, basically? Like every decision creates a new world.
But that's
so you would have no concept that they didn't exist, but like another you in a different universe would be affected by it.
No, another you in a different universe would just cease to exist. If you go back and prevented it, it would just cease to exist. So you'd just be like, should I go back in time? Yeah, sure. And you would just keep having that thought over and over again.
And then the other you probably didn't want to be born anyway. So like it's fine.
Yes. Kill all the versions of yourself. That's what that means.
Kill your darlings.
I liked the version of time travel. I think it was a cartoon. I can't remember, maybe an animation based off of something, but it was basically like, if you did invent time travel and you went backward in time, you would also have to invent teleportation, because the Earth is traveling through the universe with, our solar system. So if you just went backwards in time from like this very spot, the Earth wouldn't be here. Yeah, you'd also have to teleport back to where the Earth was at the time when it was. And I'm like, that makes sense.
Do you think time travel will ever become a thing? Or do you think it already exists in some possible future and it's like constrained technology?
Going backwards in time, no. Going forward in time, yes.
Why?
Because going forwards in time is possible. It's already been theorized and like the theory of it is proven, but we just can't conceptually like physically do it right now. Because as you get closer to the speed of light, time passes slower for you. So say if we had a spaceship that's able to go the speed of light. You would get to the Andromeda Galaxy and back, and it would take you probably 2 years, right? But when you get back to Earth, it'll be the equivalent of like 4 million years having passed on Earth because of how fast you were traveling relative to Earth.
And that's like what they all base space-time travel off
Right.
of, right?
You ever see Buzz Lightyear, the new one, the animated one?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Apparently
same
a lot
concept.
of people didn't like that movie.
It was just okay, but that
liked it a lot.
concept is in the movie of he keeps traveling faster and faster to try and get like the science down, and when he returns back to the planet, like years and years have passed.
Yeah, that made me
That's the
really
same
sad.
concept.
This reminded me.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see scientists discovered that they think they know what's inside of a black hole?
I think
It was like a week
so.
ago. So it says the physicist Enrico Rinaldi used quantum computing and a computer learning to describe what is believed to be the interior of a black hole, which black holes are like scary to me. But it says there's a lot of different theories, okay? But basically, a black hole distorts space-time due to its gravity operating in 3 dimensions. So now they're saying it links mathematically to the particles above the black hole. So while a black hole occupies 3-dimensional space, it only appears to observers as a projection of particles, which I'm not entirely sure what that all means. Like, 'cause quantum science is not my key thing.
Because light can't escape it, no matter which angle you look at it from our perspective, it'll look 2-dimensional, even though it's a 3D like sphere of a hole.
But this says that it basically like expands the general relativity theory, but it also said that our entire universe could be a holographic depiction of particles, basically.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like,
That makes
that's mind blowing to me. Like, I don't. Quantum physics is not for me. I can't like think about it.
We'll go with something simpler. Do you know like do you know the cause of most like wars? There's like 3
Humans?
things. No, that's the the cause, right? Like the reason for fighting, right? Is like resources, glory, usually religion's in there too. Right. It's what was it they used to say? What was the thing they used to get? I think it was sociology that had it was gold, God, or glory is the reason to like fight wars. Right.
I've never heard that.
Mm-hmm. It's like the underlying reason to fight a war. Anyway, so the U.S. I just learned this, but apparently it was last December. The U.S. expanded its territory by 400,000 square miles. Mm-hmm.
What? Just the ocean, or?
Yes. Good guess. Because we don't have new land. But basically, what happens is the way international waters and claims work is there's a standard distance from the edge of a landmass, and it's usually like 20 nautical miles, and that water is considered territory of whichever country the land belongs to, right? Well, because of more advanced mapping and basically softwares that are showing the tectonic plates and continents underneath the water, the U.S. put in a claim for 400,000 square miles of territory. If you go on the drive, the picture's on there. So everything in blue around Alaska, pink around California, green around the Gulf and the Virgin Islands, and orange around the Northeast region. All of that land is now technically United States water. It's a lot of land.
Yeah, what the
Same
fuck?
with the purple, but the purple's out in the middle of the ocean. So they said, hey, our tectonic plate or our ocean like land or oceanness, it extends to here and we want it. And you have to submit it to, I think it's some treaty organization, whatever. And they all have to agree on the scientific findings and then go, okay, that makes sense. That's your land, or that's your water, rather. That's your water over the land. So look at that. U.S. is bigger than you thought.
I think the whole concept of like owning the ocean is kind of silly.
A lot of it has to do with mining rights and like rights underneath like the soil and the water and all that fun stuff.
I think we've mined enough. Sorry, I'm stuck on my pants.
You stuck on your pants.
Um, I need to put a picture up of this as well, but so you know how when we were in Belize, we learned I'm up close enough.
You're not.
So you know when we were in Belize, we learned about how a lot of the like ruins and stuff aren't excavated because it would damage them.
Right. They leave them underneath.
So recently they found a fuck ton more pyramids of Mayan cities because they are using, LiDAR.
I do know.
Okay, so
explain it for the people at home.
it's kind of like it's a scan using like infrared technology, right?
Okay.
Okay, I'm not very good at explaining things. I feel nervous when I
What
don't
does
know it.
LiDAR stand for?
Oh my
Let's start
gosh,
there.
I know it's an acronym, but I don't know what the word stands for. So it's light detection and ranging.
Yes.
It's just a method to examine the surface of the Earth.
Basically, it works the same as like radar guns. It shoots a laser or an emission of light, and then it times how far back or how long it takes to get back to the source, and then it does that like millions of times over small or big areas so that it can map like the height and differences and responses. And what they used for the pyramids was a ground penetration LiDAR, which means that it goes through dirt and it ignores like those particles, but it'll bounce off of like the stones and things like that.
But yeah, so it's giving them the ability to see ruins that we otherwise will never get to see because if we try to, they're under mountains now.
Oh yeah,
like they've created hills. But so they've just found they wanted to see how densely populated Mexico was basically during the Mayan classical period. So they just chose a bunch of different random pieces of the land to scan them, and they didn't find small little areas like they thought they would. They found a whole large ass city. Like they had a highway. They've been farming in these ruins for years at this point without knowing it. They said they found sports courts and stuff. I don't think people realize how similar to us ancient people were. We tend to think of ourselves as super intelligent and so far evolved, I think. And it's
who is saying that the Mayans weren't intelligent though?
Not like that. I feel like people think because we have technology, computers and stuff, somehow we're so much different. And it's no, people are largely unchanged besides the technology that we have access to.
I like that your story is always just cut off and never lead to anything.
Oh, yeah. I thought it was cool. I just like sharing things that I think are fun. They dubbed the city that they found Valeriana, and it included over 6,500 pre-Hispanic structures, including both habitation and landscape elements, over about 32,000 acres of land. And to their knowledge, no one has ever seen archaeological fieldwork like this. So
good.
That's pretty cool. I love ruins. I think they're so cool. I like learning about ancient people.
I love ruins. Soon we'll be in one, don't worry.
We will eventually be a ruin, yes.
Mm-hmm. Remember the other day we were looking at it, the carbon sinks are failing. So that's fun.
Let's not talk about that.
Okay, fine. Do you know that even though every Google employee writes that they have 5 stars and they love working there, the average employment time at Google is just over a year?
Is there a reason why?
There is. Thank you for asking. It's it's because of the accommodations that Google gives everyone. Google gives every employee 3 free meals a day. They give them, access to the bikes on their campus so they can ride around. They give them breaks that you can have. Basically, they over accommodate you to and require a little bit less work. And then employees are so happy that they overwork themselves. Because say you worked right from 9 to 5 and your breakfast starts at 8:30. Well, are you going to get in at 9 or do you want to get in at 8:30 and grab breakfast, right? So you're going to come in a little bit earlier, you're going to grab breakfast. You're going to take lunch, grab some lunch. But they serve dinner at 6. So you can leave at 5, because your workday's done and go home and cook or whatever, or you can just work a little bit extra on a project and then get dinner at 6. So what they found is that Google employees are overworking themselves and then burning themselves out after about a year.
I would love to know how many Google employees are single men.
Why?
Because I feel like that's something that would appeal to you if you don't have a reason to go home. If you're just Oh, I don't want to cook for myself because it's just me, not like I got a wife and 2 kids at home waiting on me, so I got to go home, you know?
Maybe, but even then, if you get an hour of overtime and you can get some like free dinner to take home to your kids, would that not be worth it to you? You get a little pay on the top, and then you can bring, food home for everybody.
Okay, let's see. We got the Google demographics pulled up.
Okay.
So Google's a male-dominated company.
Sure.
Figures. 60% of Google employees are male, while 40% are female. About 50% are white. So,
What are these stats and then your commentary after them?
I'm just
say the stats, don't you? So
I'm trying to see if there's like
they're white, so
if they have like their marriage status. That's what I really care about.
Okay.
Because it says like their length of employment, which you're right, the majority of them stay for about a year.
Thank you.
Only 7% of people at Google have been there for 11 plus years. That's pretty cool. And they do pay above average salary.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, let me see. How many people at Google are married?
All I can find is that it says a significant portion of Google employees are considered to be single.
Yeah,
this is often attributed to the demanding work culture, focus on career advancement, and large concentration of young professionals at the company, leading to less emphasis on settling down with a partner.
Yeah, and I think if you offer all those sorts of benefits, it's really going to attract people who don't have to worry about other relationships or hobbies or things in their life.
Yeah.
Same thing with like flight attendants or airline pilots. Like flight attendants especially have to be able to drop everything and just go up and go wherever they want, So I don't know. I think it's interesting. I like to learn about demographics like that. But I think that's going to do about it. I am so awkward.
Like that we speak fluently for a while, or you try to, and then we get to the end, and I'm like, let's do the closeout, and you're like, so we words it and leave now, us. All right.
Well, slaps thighs in the Midwest. I'm going to get you on right out of here.
I like the whole time, by the way, if the audience can hear it, that's ice shaking in her iced coffee. That's what that sound is.
I don't think
I can hear it in my ears.
Well, I don't think they'll be able to hear it in the video.
You're right, because I have to edit it out, which just means I get to sit for a couple hours listening to ice shaking in my ears again.
I don't think you'll hear it on the recording.
Oh, thank goodness.
Okay, well, that's going to be the end of our show today. If you like what you heard, please follow us or, comment or something. I'm Ripley. That's Jordan. You can find us wherever you get your podcasts or at mindlessprattle.com. And we'll see you next time. Goodbye.